Happy Tuesday, Jamaica, and welcome to this edition of our magazine program. I'm your host, Theodore Henry, with a wonderful lineup in store just for you, but first, the news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, March 7, 2023. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, is asserting that the government is invested in supporting small farmers as part of its commitment to building the cannabis industry in Jamaica. He gave the assurance yesterday during a press conference called to address the concerns of local ganja farmers upset that a license has been granted to a company to import Canadian cannabis into Jamaica. The minister says the only import authorization that has been utilized by the company, Cannaviva Jamaica Limited, is for a strain of cannabis that is not in Jamaica called Tranquil Elephantizer. The company applied for and was granted the necessary permits by the Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA, and brought in 44 pounds of this particular strain, which it uses in 5 of its branches, amounting to less than 9 pounds at each location. Addressing questions about the process, Senator Hill points out that as minister, he cannot interfere in the decisions of the CLA. But stressing that he understands the concerns being expressed, the minister says he will be meeting with stakeholders to get their input in ensuring government's policy better serves the local cannabis industry.
All the people in the business, I want to hear from them. So we hear and understand.
The minister is also moving up plans for a trade mission to Canada, which will now take place between May and June to discuss, among other things, issues surrounding the exportation of medical cannabis. In the meantime, 2 interventions will be taken to Cabinet for approval in April to provide local small farmers with greater support so they can benefit from the medical cannabis industry. The first is the Alternative Development Program 2.0, under which up to 10 acres of land will be cultivated in targeted communities for the medical cannabis industry. A minimum of 16 communities and about 128 farmers will be targeted as part of the initiative over the next 4 years.
Each participating community will be required to sell output to a licensed person who has a license from the CLA.
Minister Hill, who made the announcement during Monday's press conference, says funding has been identified to begin the project in the upcoming 2023-24 fiscal year. There is also the Cultivators Transitional Special Permit and Pilot Project. This will utilize a mother farm, satellite farm approach, in which a licensed cannabis cultivator or processor enters into an agreement with a small-scale or traditional farmer to cultivate the crop and sell it to the licensee or mother farm. This, he says, will allow small-scale and traditional farmers to participate in the regulated framework with less rigid requirements. It will also help them to build the required capacity and accumulate the financial resources necessary to make an application to the CLA for a cannabis license.
Because many of the small farmers find the initial fee to be high, $2,500 US dollars, you have to put up fence and all that stuff. We're finding ways to make sure we alleviate some of those problems for the small and traditional farmers.
Under the pilot project, 5 mother farms will be targeted to work with 4 satellite farms each. In other news, government is seeking special treatment from host countries for creatives and cultural professionals traveling abroad. Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, made the plea to diplomats during a ministerial briefing last week. She emphasized that the ability of artists to travel to countries and ply their trade was fundamental to the growth and development of Jamaica's culture and entertainment sectors.
I would like to seek the support of developed countries by requesting that there be established maybe a 2-year moratorium during which travel of artists, cultural professionals, and practitioners to Europe may be facilitated through preferential instruments and systems.
The briefing was part of Diplomatic Week 2023 activities from February 27 to March 3. Minister Grange pointed to Article 16 of the 2005 UNESCO Convention, which states that developed countries shall facilitate cultural exchanges with developing countries. This allows preferential treatment to artists, other cultural professionals and practitioners, as well as cultural goods and services from developing countries. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade says it continues to advocate for special visas, including touring visas for entertainers, to be accommodated by the European market. Portfolio Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith says that under the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union, the ministry continues to be engaged in bilateral meetings where the matter is raised.
What they have been saying is that they're changing the method by which everybody applies for their visa to simplify it to an online process that will work better for everyone. We hear that and we welcome that, but we are still advocating for accommodation by these special visas, the touring visas, that we had been promised from 2019 and have not manifested.
The Foreign Affairs Minister was providing an update during the Standing Finance Committee's review of the 2023-24 estimates of expenditure in the House of Representatives. She says the ministry is building advocates in partner countries to take Jamaica's side on these issues when they are among their EU partners. Minister Johnson-Smith is also expected to visit the Home Affairs Commission of the EU in Brussels this year to discuss further matters under the Economic Partnership Agreement. And finally, 147 Jamaicans are the latest to complete the Restorative Justice Facilitators Training Program. They join the pool of mediators who are helping to change the culture of crime and violence to one where individuals seek to work out their differences. The program is being facilitated by the Ministry of Justice.
If we can get quarreling, fighting people, settling their difference, it will prevent a lot of criminality, a lot of crimes. And we're now spending in excess of 400 million for legal aid fees. I would like to cut that in half and shift it back to people settling their conflicts.
In lauding the work of the Restorative Justice Program, Minister Chuck says more measures will be taken to increase awareness of the program across the island.
So I determined that not only will we take it into the schools, but now I've had a memorandum of understanding with all the church leaders, over 13 of them, that we are going to take it into the churches.
Restorative Justice is a component of the ministry's Alternative Dispute Resolution Program. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The powers that are given to us under the state of public emergency are on top of all of the other law enforcement things we do. So Operation Relentless continues. In certain spaces where violence is significant, we add in emergency powers on top of that. The combination of all of that gives us the results we need. The state of emergency allows us to impact the people who intelligence says are doing violence.
Human trafficking is modern slavery. It has many forms and faces. Men, women, and children of all ages, race, and class can become prey. They are exploited through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. They are controlled by another person, treated as property, and stripped of their rights. Human trafficking is modern slavery. Let's put an end to it.
It's time for a roundup now of all that happened in the office of the Prime Minister during the past week.
Updates from the Prime Minister's visit to Haiti, diplomatic week, addressing the meteorological drought affecting Jamaica, and continued meetings with government agencies. I'm Vaughn Davis with the details. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. At the top of the week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness led a one-day CARICOM mission to neighboring Haiti. The mission was the first opportunity for CARICOM officials to observe the current situation on the ground. It was in keeping with the decision of CARICOM heads of government at the 44th regular meeting in Nassau, Bahamas in February. Mr. Holness says CARICOM is anxious to play a role in Haiti's stability and will be a strong advocate and facilitator. Coming out of the visit, he says stakeholder groups expressed the urgency for national security and the need to safeguard the Haitian population from gangs. In addition, they are calling for organic democracy, institution building, structure, and organization. Tangible ways were discussed in which CARICOM, Canada, and other partners could assist with Haiti's security challenges, which were mainly attributed to major organized criminal activities or gangs. Prime Minister Holness says meetings will continue with relevant stakeholder groups in that country to achieve a consensus for the restoration of political and security stability in Haiti. Back on home soil, Prime Minister Holness continued meetings with various agencies about government's policies, programs, achievements, and new implementations to come on stream for the 2023-24 financial year. The agencies include the Development Bank of Jamaica, Factories Corporation of Jamaica, the Urban Development Corporation, the Port Authority of Jamaica, the Meteorological Office, the National Spatial Data Division, the Housing Agency of Jamaica, and the National Social Housing Program. On Friday, Prime Minister Holness called a press conference and announced that the government would be spending an additional $100 million to address the meteorological drought affecting the country. The sum is in addition to an initial $50 million previously allocated. Mr. Holness says the response will be channeled through the Ministries of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Local Government and Rural Development, and Agriculture and Fisheries. Members of Parliament will receive an allocation through the Constituency Development Fund, but only in parishes that have been assessed as being in need.
We still have sufficient supplies in our catchment and in our treatment facilities and in our reservoirs, even though some of them are showing decline. The utility areas, meaning the areas served largely by the NWC through metered water, they are not affected as badly as the rural areas. And so for this phase of our drought response, we're going to be focusing on the rural parishes, and we will be directing the funds by need.
The Prime Minister assures that urban communities affected will also benefit from the allocation. He noted that additional trucks are being purchased by the NWC to increase the agency's capacity.
The government is putting in more resources. The resources will be targeted to needs. Of course, if it worsens or lasts longer than we expect, then we will come back to the nation, explain a new strategy of how we will assist.
According to the Meteorological Office, 11 parishes are affected by the drought. Prime Minister Holness is urging Jamaicans to support mitigation efforts by conserving on their use of water. Also on Friday, the Prime Minister was at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade for Diplomatic Week activities. The 5-day event was held under the theme Transcending Border, Strengthening Partnerships, Advancing Development. Mr. Holness updated the diaspora on several key areas of interest within the country and assured them that he recognized the importance of fostering international cooperation to achieve sustainable development.
Reaffirming Jamaica's commitment to working with your countries to create an enabling environment in which our communities can thrive and prosper. Please know that you have a steady partner in Jamaica, and that, as our national pledge states, we promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race.
And this is where we close out the week that was. Join us next week for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Check on your strong friends. Having gone through postpartum depression after having my daughter, I know what mental illness can be like.
You may be the one to provide someone with a haven.
Very much true, because, like she said, you don't know what people are going through. it's also important to know within yourself what's going on, because you yourself know you better than anyone else could possibly know you.
Being able to be your true self is one of the strongest components of good mental health. You can whisper how you feel, or you can shout it out loud, but in whatever you do, if you need help, say something.
We are in a race against time, to reverse the effects of climate change by one simple action, which has positive and enduring effects. That's right, plant a tree, leave a lasting legacy. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
I'm sure by now we all know some benefits that trees provide, but here is one important point to take note of: climate change. Trees help to absorb the excess carbon dioxide building up in our atmosphere, which contributes to this global issue. Plant a tree today and learn how to do that as part of a national drive.
Climate change is real. We must address it in order to secure our future. Our children are depending on us.
And so the government has launched an initiative which will see a tree being planted for every Jamaican on the island. These 3 million trees will be planted over a 3-year period across the length and breadth of Jamaica land we love.
Planting trees, of course, is one of the ways in which Jamaica is taking deliberate, strategic, and decisive action to mitigate the effects of climate change.
The program will be managed by the Forestry Department with support from the European Union's Development Fund.
Our aim is to improve the resilience of our coasts, hillsides, and plains, while also improving the beauty of our urban centers, major thoroughfares, parks, and the added effect of offsetting greenhouse gas emissions.
All the trees that we are planting will be for nothing if we don't deal with the issue of the degradation of the forests. Ladies and gentlemen, if our forests are cut down without regard for sustainable forest management, we all know that our watersheds and our water supply challenges will worsen.
The 3 Million Trees initiative will focus on 3 main areas.
It would be one that protects our coast, including mangroves, one that does general forestation, one that includes urban forestation, and on the other side,
we're going to have a national fruit tree planting program of 3 million fruit trees to be planted as well.
In addition to 1,000 Hope interns that will benefit under the program, employment opportunities will be provided for persons from communities adjacent to areas to be planted.
$2 million timber seedlings will be planted on over 3,000 hectares of land managed by the Forestry Department. The department will distribute the remaining plants, a mixture of timber and ornamentals, to the public.
We want to get more of the private sector adopting hillsides. These are lands that we manage, that we want to just take charge and be responsible for the maintenance of all of that.
To ensure that the seedlings remain viable and transition into healthy forest, a mobile app using GPS technology is being finalized. This private-public sector partnership will see the monitoring and tracking of the plant's progress.
Because it's nice that we plant the trees today, we take a lot of pictures and everything, but what happened to those trees afterwards? So we really want everybody to ensure that the trees we plant today, we return to them ensure that they are still growing, and check on the trees we planted last year.
The challenge has been thrown out. Will you answer the call? Will you dedicate a portion of your land for planting trees? Will you adopt a hillside to stop landslides? Will you ensure that the trees you've planted are nurtured? We can do it. We should do it. We must do it.
It is hope that this action will ignite in every single Jamaican the understanding, the will and the commitment to play their part in securing Jamaica's environment and making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in paradise.
Yes, walk right over there and drop it in the bin. Reuse that wastewater from your kitchen for the garden. Get your hands dirty and plant a tree. Farmers, hold off on the pesticides, especially near our rivers. Do your part to protect our watersheds so we can preserve the source of our drinking water. Every act to protect our watersheds counts. Start now.
Protecting our coral reef and sustaining our fish sanctuaries is in focus. Next.
In order to help to replenish our fish populations here in our Jamaican waters, fish sanctuaries are a godsend.
Through nature-based and scientific innovations funded by the Orokabessa Marine Trust Reef Restoration Project, the Orokabessa Bay Fish Sanctuary in St. Mary has accepted improved protection and monitoring of Jamaica's coral reef. The Orokabessa Marine Trust Reef Restoration Project, which began in 2013 to protect corals from bleaching and other forms of degradation, also aims to restore the diadema sea urchin, which died in large numbers due to an unknown disease.
We live in a world where everything is placed here for a reason. Some things are obvious, some are so inconspicuous. And we often, because of how we are cultured or nurtured, believe that because something has spikes and so it's just discard of it. Or something looks ugly to us, kill it. But everything, every organism, even the bacteria, every single thing has been placed here for a reason.
Overfishing is a problem here in Jamaica, not Jamaica alone, the Caribbean and the wider region. So in order to help to replenish our fish populations here in our Jamaican waters, fish sanctuaries are a godsend for that problem. You can't take anything out of that space. So fishes are able to reproduce, they're able to grow to mature levels and are able to breed.
The resources at the base of the blue economy are under tremendous stress. So our tank systems will help us to now try to restore some of these organisms, get them back out into the wild. We'll try to increase their numbers in our nurseries, put them back out in the wild, protect them out at sea, and we're just trying to build that natural resource.
And what you are doing in terms of installing these equipments and using these mechanisms is going to improve efficiency. That is what we talk about when we say grow smart. The government is mindful of the need for us to give that support. We're mindful of the need for us collectively to conserve and protect our fisheries and biodiversity resources, as I've said. We provided $40 million to our fish sanctuary management partners to continue the needed support. We anticipate that in this fiscal year, another 2% of our coastal waters will be designated as fish sanctuaries to bring the total up to 17,000 hectares. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries remains committed to continued transformation of this critical sector. If we all play our part in this renewal, as we contribute to the employment creation, to the lifting up of these rural development spaces, to the eradication as much as we can of poverty and the protection of our environment, we're going to see the new Jamaica.
If you've ever wondered what your property taxes are used for, wonder no more. Your property taxes provide revenue for the provision of public and community amenities throughout Jamaica, which are delivered by local government officials. When you pay your property taxes, you aid with the maintenance and expansion of our street lighting to ensure you are not walking in the dark at nights, the collection and disposal of solid waste to prevent the pileup of garbage in communities, the improvement of our community infrastructure, and repairs to fire stations and service vehicles, along with rehabilitation of our roads. Pay your property taxes online, in line or via mobile tax units, and avoid being sought by the government. For more information, visit the Tax Administration website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm or call 876-902-9463.
Thank you for stopping by Jamaica Magazine today. Catch the repeat and much more happenings on our website at www.jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.